Four explorers are trying to find out the cause of a mine that caught fire. The mine has been abandoned since the fire occurred. But until now, no one knows why the mine burned so badly, and no one dared to approach it. One day, in a town called Shockham Hills, there was a mine built on a mountain. But for some reason, the mine was abandoned by its workers. For some reason. It turns out there were some strange events there. This man was named Shupman, the man who built and discovered a mine that contained many valuable minerals there. Unfortunately, the mine had to be closed. One of the workers, who was none other than the son of Shupman, questioned. Shupman did not want to explain in detail. Then shortly, Shupman's son seemed to be pulled by a terrible creature into the mine. Shupman could not help him. Even he himself was hit by a scratch from the mysterious creature. For years, the mine was declared closed until there were four explorers who wanted to visit the long-closed mine. Led by a woman named Arian, they used a car to get to the town of Shockham Hills. Two of them were researchers who were said to be hired by Cambridge University. Darren and Sean, the other two, were guards. They were taken by Darren to stand guard. Their journey turned out to be quite difficult. The absence of a signal made them unable to use the GPS. Even the location they came to was erased from the map. A while later, they finally found the city. Arian tried to talk to one of the residents there. Arian asked where they could find a mine that had been closed for years to the residents there. The question suddenly made the two people there surprised. Even Arian was directed to return across the asphalt road and leave the city. This is not the answer Arian wanted, so in the end she continued on her way without telling him what happened at the stop. Their journey turned out to be even more difficult because there was a car trying to follow them from behind. It looks like the car was sent by the residents earlier. After escaping the pursuit of the car, Arian and the others finally arrived at a gate that was electrified. The electricity was still active and dangerous. But Arian did not lose his mind. He tried to pass the fence through the big tree on the side. One by one, they followed Arian's way. They continued their journey. But night was approaching. In the end, they had to postpone the trip and make a camp there. Sean, one of the students who had the most knowledge, told him that in the past the mine they were going to visit was said to contain many minerals that were many and valuable. But unfortunately, for some reason, many of the mine workers did not return from there. Info circulating that in the mine they are not alone. Some even say that in the mine there are terrible creatures guarding the mine. But that info is not believed by many people. Instead, they think it's just a hallucination of mine workers, because in the mine there is indeed quite a lot of gas content. While on the other hand, there are several residents who check the electric fence they made. One of the fences is detached and even looks like the cable is torn. Is this the work of the explorers earlier? Or is there something else that damaged it? One of the residents tried to check deeper and saw that there was a hole in the wire cover. Then shortly the man was stuck with something sharp from the hole, like a hand. A few moments later came a large man, and it turned out that the man was Shupman. He was still alive and asked his friends to be vigilant because they knew what they were going to face. Meanwhile, Darren, a student the same as Sean, wanted to thank Arian for being willing to help him find the location of the mine. He wanted to do research on the mineral stones there. He will take samples, and this research will be a big study. The next day, they traveled again. Then a car passed by. It seemed like it was the car that had followed them yesterday. And they were members of the Shupman. It seemed like they wanted to warn Arian and his friends to stop, but Arian and the others hid and continued their journey. Several hours of walking, they finally found a location that was allegedly the location of the mine. And sure enough, their efforts were not in vain. The mine was finally found, vast and swollen. The mine was finally found, vast and abandoned. Many iron covers were electrified in the mine. But there was a big one. They released the electricity so that the iron barrier could be removed. The equipment began to run. A sensor was slowly inserted into the mine. while Darren and Terry monitored from the monitor. When the sensor had reached the bottom at first, they did not find the mineral stone they were looking for. But soon Darren saw the monitor showing a movement, indicating that it was true that in the mine there was the mineral stone they were looking for. Even the composition was intact. The problem is, they also heard a strange sound there, like the sound of someone whimpering. When they were shocked and confused, this man named Terry was pulled into the mine because his leg was accidentally wrapped around the sensor cable. Like it or not, they had to help him. Arian and one of his friends went down to look for Terry's whereabouts, but they couldn't stay there for long because of the high gas levels. Above, Darren and Sean had a problem. A man named Kane came and scolded them. What have they done in this mine? This is very dangerous. Kane didn't want to take any chances. He wanted to cut one of the ropes carried by Arian. Not wanting to endanger his friend Sean from behind, slammed a rock into Kane's head until he fell. Arian and his partner managed to climb up and ask what happened. Darren didn't want to tell that there and invited them to leave immediately, leaving Terry unaccounted for. Unfortunately, the car they were in had tire problems, so they had to walk too. It got darker and darker for them. Then they were terrorized by strange creatures. Arian asked them to turn off the flashlight and use night vision. Here Sean became a victim of the mysterious creature. Fortunately, soon a woman named Selby came to save them. Arian and the others were taken to the place where they asked about the location of the mine. There they met Shupman. What Arian and his friends did was very dangerous, not only for them but also for the local residents in the small town. They accidentally released a ferocious creature that lived in the mine, so Shupman built a fence and an electrified cover to keep them out. They pleaded guilty. It was even discovered that Darren had pleaded that he wasn't sent by the university to do research. He was sent by a private company to take samples of valuable minerals, but unfortunately, disaster struck. Arian had to get out of the city, so that night they would be helped by Selby and an old man. There was no way they could get away with it. So the man sacrificed to distract the creature while Arian, Selby, and the others tried to keep going. But it seemed like the creature had spread everywhere. They had to go back to hiding in the building that was connected to the mine. The creature is very sensitive to sound, so they have to be careful. They are trapped and inevitably enter the mine through a shortcut and will come out from another door. But unfortunately, one of them did not have time to save himself and was pulled by the creature. While Selby also made a diversion so that Arian and Darren could be free from the creature's pursuit. Unfortunately, Selby did not return. Now it's just Arian and Darren alone. Darren feels very desperate. He couldn't even move his legs seeing his friends disappear one by one. Arian had no choice but to leave Darren looking for help. He gave a grenade to keep watch. On the other hand, Shupman and his members tried to prevent the creatures from getting out of bounds. While Arian managed to climb to the surface, but unfortunately, he was caught by the creature and taken back into the mine. When he woke up, he saw many bodies of his friends. There was Darren there too. But Sean was still alive. Sean was taken to be used as a food sacrifice by the leader of the mysterious creature. His head was eaten. Then it was Arian's turn. Darren had given Arian a grenade. Then Darren distracted the creature with an alarm from his cell phone. Arian managed to paralyze the leader of the creature. Arian tried to escape with Darren, but Darren decided to distract them and save Arian. Arian was found by Shupman and was going to be delivered to his car so she could leave this place, but Arian changed her mind. She wanted to finish off the creature with Shupman, taking revenge for her friends.